y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now has the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off Pritchard Roll. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hens. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into Jaguars Today on this Tuesday leading up to the NFL Draft, 9 days away. Right now, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you talking about the building blocks, Tony, of the Jacksonville Jaguars today. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, I heard you say to Dan and Jeff, we're kind of avoiding those draft picks. I'll put it this way. I made 2 lists, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're going to rank the top 5 most important building blocks on the Jaguars outside of Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Josh Heinzel, and Trayvon Walker, they're the 4 exceptions we put to the side. Mm-hmm. Young enough, locked in on contracts, the whole 9 yards, good players. They're the core of the team. I honestly do think whichever players they take at 5 and 36 are the next 2 most important players.
Oh, sure.
Right? I mean,
I have no argument about
are.
that. Yeah. I'm not saying that once you get past 3 or 4 on this list that it's easy to find 4 and 5. It's not.
It's hard for me, honestly, to start this list, quite frankly. There's 1 or 2 guys I know I'm going to put on there, but I'm like, is he the most important guy? Where does this list begin for you? You know, and I do think, you know, and whatever positions they are, if they take Ashton Genty or if they take Will Campbell or they take Armand Membo or Mason Graham, that guy is going to ascend to the top 5 most important Jaguars immediately on this team.
Absolutely.
A lot of people in their response to today's question today, we like to get an early start, said, hey, this is tough. It's tough to come up with 5, right? And we think, you know, you could say all this roster is competitive. Now, the way we asked it today, are building blocks for the next 3 years. So Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk might not have factored in. If we had done who are the most important guys for this season and they were still here, I would have thought they would have been on almost everyone's top 5 list. But that's not the way we're going about things today. Good morning to young Dylan Denmark. How are things?
What it do? Another day.
You tell us, man. We're good. We got a busy week coming up, don't we?
For
us, for guests and things like that. Like, where are you, man? You okay?
Oh yeah, we're good. I'm good. I got Hayes. I sent that text this morning. Pauline's good for tomorrow.
Yeah, we got Prisco on Thursday.
I got text Chad Ryder for Monday. Media mock draft is locked in.
Yeah, couldn't work it out with Demetrius Harvey to come in studio this week. Yep. So we'll offer up Demetrius the first in studio spot the following week after the draft if he wants to join us and break it all down. So sorry we couldn't work out the timing on that, but we'll look forward to having him in. Got multiple new fresh mocks out there, Tone, and as much as anything now when I look at these, because it's all a guessing game in terms of who's even going to be available. 5, you get a pretty good feel for, you know, you got 1 or 2, 3 players you're going to be choosing between. But 36, like when people are doing these multiple round mock drafts, I want to jump ahead and see what else could we have gotten there. So we'll get into that a little bit today with Mel Kiper and Field Yates doing the alternate pick mock draft, which is always interesting because not always the same guy picking for your team when their selections come up. I guess one of them has the even, so one of them got 36, 70, and 88, and one of them just took pick 5 is the way it all worked out for that. So at SI, dream scenarios for every team in the NFL draft. What is the Jaguars' dream scenario, Tony, in 2025? What do you think the perfect scenario is?
For the 5th pick?
Yeah, just dream scenario for the draft.
Hunter being there.
Aggressively move up for Hunter.
Yeah.
Right. That's and the way they laid it out was exactly when we did our top 5 options for the 5th pick. This was exactly my number 1 option. The way it came out, where the Browns take Shedeur Sanders, the Giants take Abdul Carter, or vice versa for that matter. Yeah. And Hunter is sitting there, and you entice the Patriots with maybe a 4th round pick to move down 1 spot, get the offensive lineman if they're leaning in that direction anyway, for the right to go up there and get Travis Hunter. I don't think it's I don't think it's going to be within their playbook or their interest to go and make a move up to number 2.
No, I wouldn't think so. No.
And I think that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, I think the cost would be probably beyond what they'd be willing to pay. And I do think from a Patriots standpoint, I know we all have them locked into an offensive lineman, but I think that's because Hunter's not there.
Right. I don't have them locked into that. I'm just saying that there's a school of thought that you're right. If Hunter and Carter are not there, and maybe they convince themselves they need left tackle, right? So
sure.
that may be their preference anyway. And maybe they would be torn between the two, but the extra draft pick they could get from the Jags. So I actually liked the fact that I think they identified what would be a very reasonable dream scenario. You have to have Hunter fall there. And then having done that, I think, unless the Patriots are just like, oh, my gosh, we got to turn the card in ourselves, I don't know that that's going to be the case.
I wouldn't be surprised if they would be, though.
They might. Yeah. Any team might.
With their issues, it's not like they have playmakers on the offensive side of the ball right now.
Absolutely.
Their secondary isn't exactly built up right now. Like, it would make all the sense in the world that they would be thrilled if he were to fall to 4.
For the same reasons that Cleveland wouldn't pass him.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they need playmakers. Cleveland needs somebody other than Myles Garrett for fans to focus on for this team. Like, what is the core of the team? The Patriots do have Drake May, and he is the leader of that franchise, for better or worse. We'll see how that turns out over the next few years. I don't know.
Sure.
Might
but
be
they
fantastic.
at least know that's the direction they're going.
That's who they're building around. What are the Browns building around? They paid a lot of money to Myles Garrett. I don't know if they're particularly building around him. I guess you are by definition because of the contract that he's given. But offensively, at least, little to no direction at the present time.
Right.
David Njoku, is that your best player on offense right now outside of the offensive line? Maybe. But Jerry Jeudy, right now, Jerome Ford's their starting tailback. Mm-hmm. They say Nick Chubb's backed up to squatting over 500 pounds. I don't know if you saw those pictures.
I did, yeah.
Nick Chubb's like 30 years old. But you know what? If he's still around after the draft and the Jags don't address it and he wants to sign a 1-year incentive-laden deal, I'd roll the dice on Nick Chubb.
Sure.
He's been one of the better running backs when healthy. That's the problem. Would he be healthy? Again, that's not my preference for how things are going to go down. We'll do mock draft Wednesday tomorrow. I did already put a mock together with Genty being the Jags pick just to see how it felt. And
yeah.
I feel like I'm like I get to like round 5 and I'm like I got to get this and this and this, and I don't have enough picks left for my taste. Of course, I know even with the extra picks, what it must be like to be a team in the Jags position and just have 1 pick around or less than that, to have like 5 picks in this upcoming draft.
Those 4 picks in the 3rd and 4th, that's fun.
Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. Somebody made a bold prediction. I forget what site I was looking at, and their bold prediction for the Jags was all defensive picks in the first 2 days. In other words, those first 4 selections all go on defense. I mean, I could see it happening that way. I don't know if you necessarily go in setting out, but you could definitely see if it goes Mason Graham. You could see corner at 36. You could see an edge rusher or safety, right? You could see an edge rusher somewhere in there or a corner in the 3rd round. If you go safety early, definitely ways that could happen. All right, today's question of the day, officially asking you this. Take Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. out on the offensive side. Take Josh Hines, Allen, and Trayvon Walker out on the defensive side. Those 4 guys we know are going to be a big part of what the Jags do, succeed or fail for the next few years because of their circumstances. So outside of them, who are the 5 building block players? And I'll say this. If you want to list any amount of draft picks you want in the upcoming draft, feel free to do that, right? There are no big rules on this or anything like that. And again, they would be at the top of my list. I did come up with 5 actual players that are currently on the roster. And I'm not sure that they're the 5 most important. It is a pretty good debate. So we'll get into that as we go along here throughout the course of the program. If you want to be a part of it, 641-1010 on the phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure. Same number works there. You can hop in the YouTube virtual studio and post your thoughts in the chat there. Thoughts, questions, musings, what have you. You can also hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
With that, game on.
Game on indeed, says James Gladstone. So, who are the building block pieces? How close is this team to actually being in contention? And if you are having a hard time finding 5 building blocks beyond the core 4 players on this team, how good of a sign is that for the Jaguars to compete in 2025 with before we know what that infusion of talent looks like in next week's NFL draft? All that and more coming your way today. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
I don't want winners.
Who really wants to win?
Who's a winner? I said, who's a winner?
1010XL.
I want winners.
92.5 FM.
Winning feels good. I really like winning.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians, ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging? Spring is here, a time to renew. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, here to help you look and feel your best with minimal to no downtime. Rejuvenate your skin, strengthen your core, and sculpt your body with advanced face and body treatments designed to restore your youthful glow and confidence. Just in time for spring and summer. A healthier, more fit you starts now. Visit dermagnify.com and step into spring looking and feeling your best.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL celebrates high scorers.
1010XL and Southeast Orthopedic Specialists celebrate scholar athletes.
In class and on the court.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Frangie Show. 1010XL's draft previews are brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida. Be a Big.
If Liam Cohen is looking to replicate what he had in Tampa Bay with a pair of talented receivers, the 6'4" Ted McMillan would be amazing to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. McMillan is a possession receiver with the size and ball skills to create big wins deep. He also has a knack for adjusting his routes and working back on throws, which would certainly make Trevor Lawrence's job a whole lot easier.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked the homeowner in with an APR in the low fives, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
For over 5 decades, a true American band. This is America. Encore Tour 2025, an unforgettable evening with America. April 23rd, Florida Theater. On sale now at floridatheater.com. America, live in concert. Produced by Outback Presents.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, glad you're with us. Love the draft. We'll also be loving it when we're done with the draft, Tony. And we know who the new 10 players or maybe 9 or maybe 12 or however many with the Jags moving around the draft board that they end up with. But I'm ready to get it on, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've got a lot of good preliminaries still to come. Tony Pauline tomorrow, as we mentioned. Hayes and Prisco on Thursday. Next week, media mock draft. We're going to have Chad Ryder back next week. We'll get a lot of our regulars on before the actual draft, even if it's only for 5 minutes next Thursday, making their predictions on what the Jags are going to do over those 3 days. But then the interesting part will be seeing what actual raw material they end up with to put this thing together into hopefully a competitive team in 2025 and beyond. All right, 641-1010 if you want to get on board. Our man Mac on the north side, first to stop by this morning. Mac, you're on Jaguars Today. Good morning.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Excellent.
All right.
What's up, bud?
Okay, here's my 5. The first pick in the draft. That's number 5 altogether, right?
Okay.
Okay, him. I got that person. I got the wide receiver free agent from Washington,
De'Ami Brown.
Yeah,
He's
him.
he's only under contract for 1 year here, Mac.
Well, that's who I got.
All right.
Okay.
All right. De'Ami Brown.
And the cornerback from Dallas.
Okay, Jordan Lewis.
Okay. This is the one that's going to piss me off. He's going to let me down. Devin Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd. Man, you're already bad mouthing a guy that you put on the list, man. What are we doing, Mac?
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry.
All right, who's your fifth guy? Who's your fifth guy?
My last guy is the Gator linebacker. Is he a linebacker?
Who's that?
The guy from Florida.
Oh, Ventrell Miller?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. him. That's him. Yeah, that's him.
All right, you sound very confident about that he'll be one of the five.
I'm confident on him.
All right. You know we love you, Mac.
That's my five, fellas.
All right. Hey, look, bro, I don't care who they are. I just hope they all succeed. So thank you for checking in with us. I think this does highlight a little bit, though, Tony, all kidding aside. Some of these guys that you're trying to decide, are they a key building block, one of the most important 8 or 9 players on this roster, or are they going to be replaced in a week? Right? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, Devin Lloyd, does he have a future beyond this year with the Jacksonville Jaguars? I don't know.
Yeah, the complication that is added by this being 3 years is a big complication.
Well, and that's why we wanted to make it a little bit more than what we typically do.
No,
right?
it's fine. Like, I'm fine with it being the 3 years. I think it's good to have to go through the mental exercise of this kind of thing. But the third year on this complicates it, right? Because even a bunch of the free agents they signed, it's really 2-year deals that they're looking at here. Anton's under contract really for 2 years. We'll see about the 5th-year option. Jarian Jones, 2 more years, right? Like, everyone's already talking about, well, they can get out of Tyson after the next couple of years, right? Like, there's nobody that the third year you're, like, locked in, rock solid, except the draft picks that may be coming this year. Like, I have no issue with anyone putting the draft picks this year on the list because we know they're going to be here for the next 4, right? Like, it makes sense that they would be on a list like this where year 3 is the thing that really complicates even who to put on this list. So you have to project. You have to project to that third year. It's like, who do I think might actually be able to help them?
Some of these guys you got to project to the second year.
Yeah.
Right? Will Devin Lloyd be back with this team? Will De'Ami Brown be back with this team? They believe that he's got a lot of untapped potential.
Absolutely.
But they put themselves in a position where they're paying him more than he has shown. And if he shows what, the value of what they're paying him,
if you think he's going to show it and they're going to extend him, I'm okay with him being on the list.
Sure. I'm okay with anybody. It's their list. You put anybody you like on there. But, De'Ami Brown, the Jags have put themselves in a position where if he does have a breakout year, they don't necessarily have any, other than you're not going to franchise tag De'Ami Brown. So,
no.
What is the way to keep him here? Well, you got to outbid everybody else potentially, and granted, if you get him in here and he clicks with Trevor Lawrence and he has this year where he catches 65, 70 balls, which is way more than he's ever done in the league. But if he, had 950 yards and 7 touchdowns, you'd be like, okay, look, you can grow with this and you like your space, your place in the offense. I could see that. But like you said, that entails so much projection on all these guys. But even with the young guys, guy like Brenton Strange, Brenton Strange, you could argue maybe number 1 on this list in some scenarios, right? Young piece, and he fits the mold of seemingly intangibly rich, can handle the physical aspects of being tight end, can be a good receiver, can be all the. You could envision him right now being maybe the second most important pass catcher on the team, maybe at the moment, okay, pre-draft. You could also envision him being replaced by a guy in the first round. Right? Or at least it's possible if they went that way. That doesn't mean that Brenton Strange wouldn't be on this team necessarily for the next few years. But how important is his role if you take, let's say they traded back with the Saints and they took Tyler Warren at 9. Well, that guy is now one of the centerpieces of your team. That guy's now a top 5 building block on this team. And I doubt you're going to have 2 tight ends. So that's kind of the thing. You got to project not only what they're going to do, but what the Jags are going to do coming up next week to enhance those positions and maybe end up replacing some of these guys before they even get a chance to get started under the new regime.
Yeah, I was thinking about it while I was doing this top 5 list, while I was going through it last night a little bit and considering a bunch of guys. I was like, if the question was who are the top 5 most important guys on the roster right now for 25, right?
I think it'd be a lot easier.
It'd be a lot easier because ETN might be, I don't know where he'd be on the list, but he'd be on the list. Like somewhere on the list because he's here in 2025.
Right. Well, at the moment, but if they drafted an Ashton Genty or a Travian Henderson
but that
or any
hadn't
number
happened
of guys.
yet. So that may happen in 2 weeks, but we're not doing this list in 2 weeks.
I understand.
We're doing it today. And, I like I said, I'm very open to the first round pick is going to belong on this top 5 list. Absolutely. No contention with that. Might even be number 1. right, on the list when you actually get to
outside the four guys we listed, I think he's number one with a bullet.
Right. Like, we know what the future of that guy is, but if you're talking about the impact in 2025, I do, and I know we haven't talked about it all that much, but I do believe Etienne is a talented player. I don't know what the heck happened to him last year, but I think he's a talented player. That's why he was a first-round pick. I thought going into last year he was a Pro Bowl level talent on the roster at running back, but that didn't work out for him. I don't know how much of that is Etienne fell back or the offensive line was an absolute disaster for the Jaguars last year, along with all the other things that were completely out of sorts for the football team. I think if you go into 25, say they don't draft Genty and they don't address running back until day 3, which I don't think is outside the realm of possibility, right, in this draft, that they look at Etienne and say he can carry the load for us for 25.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
Right, like that kind of thing. I think he can be a big impact on the Jaguars offense with what he could potentially do and being used the kind of way that I think he could potentially be used in an offense by Liam Cohen as more of a receiving option. We need to get him in space. We don't have to run him up the gut every time.
All that's true, but if we're looking at today's question in the 3-year window,
he's not in that.
Let me ask you this. What is the percentage likelihood that Travis Etienne is with this team in 2026, in your opinion, right now, without knowing what the draft holds? And you can factor in the unknown
20%.
aspect of that. 20, yeah, it's way less than 50%, right? 20%. That seems reasonable, right? Maybe they don't have the draft fall the way they want to get the kind of back they want. Maybe they prioritize other positions. They're like, hey, we're not that close. We're going to punt. And then maybe Etienne then goes out there and rips it up for a year. And I still find it hard to believe that this team is going to invest major money in the running back position.
I don't expect them to.
For a guy that right now has been really good 1 out of 3 years where he's played in the league so far. Now, granted, all that can change because it's their guy now, and what he does for them is going to impact it a lot more. That does bring to mind this mock we referenced briefly yesterday at NFL.com. Gennaro Felice did a mock there a few days ago that had the Jags taking Ashton Genty with the 5th pick. And again, this is this people getting bored like I am with seeing Mason Graham's name attached? Maybe. It's quite possible. But what he said was seemingly everyone, including our resident prospect rankers in these parts, meaning Daniel Jeremiah, Eric Edholm, and Lance Zierlein, have Genty as the top 5 player. So what's stopping him from being selected in the top 5 picks? And he went on to say Travis Etienne's efficiency declined in a big way in 2023. His production then fell off a cliff in 2024. Tank Bigsby emerged as a rusher in year 2, but it still seems ideally suited as a bruising RB2. Feels like a nice place to insert Genty, who just so happens to be a Jacksonville native. Don't think that's a huge part of the story here. But Trevor Lawrence, this I thought was the interesting thing. Trevor Lawrence has been supported by a top 20 ground game only once. That was in 2022 when he made the Pro Bowl and they took the AFC South and made some noise in the playoffs. And as Felice says, seems relevant. Think about that. The last 3 years, they've only been in the top 20 on the ground 1 out of 3 years. You know, and that is something that this team has talked about, helping Trevor Lawrence through the ground game. That doesn't mean you have to take Genty to do it.
No.
Could be offensive. Doesn't mean you even have to address it in the first round of the draft. It can be, you can go defense with your first couple of picks, but they've got to get better. And look, you can't go, I can't see the go 4 picks in all defense side of things. Just
I wouldn't
don't see
expect it.
right?
No.
You need a starting wide receiver, I believe. A significant, put it this way, if you don't get one early, you still need a guy who can significantly contribute.
You know, I've been stating this for the last several weeks now. It is the top priority for me. I would be
in terms of a whole.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they don't address it sometime in the first 3 rounds. Like, I would be asking, why not? Like, I would, why haven't you addressed this yet?
Well, it will depend to me on what's available. Like,
not so much to me.
If they don't go with pick 5, like if all the first round guys, if Ibuka and Burden and all those guys are gone at 36, I don't want them to reach for a guy there.
I'm still good with Besh. I'm fine with him being there at 36. I'm good with that, but that's because I'm good with them addressing that at that point in the draft. Even if it is a player that's that far down that kind of list, I'm okay with it.
I think that's Again, it depends on what they do with the first pick. I'm more looking at defensive line help at 36. Again, if they take Mason Graham, maybe that will switch.
Sure.
But I think the quality of player, we'll take a look
I
when we
think the
come
quality
back.
at defensive tackle in the third round's way higher than the wide receiver you're getting there.
Possibly. Let's look at the Kuiper Yates mock and see what the Jags options were at 36, 70, and 88, and if we would have agreed with the direction that they went in those circumstances. We'll do that when we come back in a moment. If you want to get in like Mac did, 641-1010, tell us your 5 building blocks that are currently on this roster, not named Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines-Allen, and Trayvon Walker. And those are building blocks that you expect to contribute to this team for the next 3 years, or maybe only 2, but maybe their contribution will be that significant. Man, I hope that anybody that ultimately turns out to be the right names for this list has 3 good years of production. Otherwise, this situation is going to not improve as quickly as we hope it might. All right, we'll continue along. Hour 2, we'll give you our top 5 lists. Coming up, more on this and everything else going on with the Jags on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. You know what? Pretty soon it's just going to be warm every single day. You won't need Dandy Foods to warm you up, but, maybe cool you down a little bit. You come inside into an area gate station, enjoy a little AC, head to the fresh case, maybe get a delicious, crisp salad. Dandy's got some wonderful gourmet salad options out there for you. Maybe you want a little protein pack, just a little pick-me-up for on the go that doesn't weigh you down. Of course, Dandy's always going to have the classic line of sandwiches and subs. Some of those recipes go back decades now because they're that good. Others, they've improved over the years because Dandy never settles for just good enough. They use only the highest quality ingredients. They locally source them here in Jacksonville as often as they possibly can, and the result is great variety, and they keep the prices very reasonable as well. If you want food on the go, Danny's the name to know in Duval. You'll find it at an area gate station. So when you're hungry, do what I do, folks. Go out and make yours a Dandy, and do it today.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
You can't just walk in off the street and do what we do. It takes years and years of training. I mean, let's just let them perform a tracheotomy while we're at it.
Mornings on 1010XL.
This is ridiculous.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Spring and summer are coming. Will your pool deck be ready? Don't Slip Deck Coatings of Jacksonville has you covered. Their multi-layered slip-resistant coatings come in a variety of colors, adding safety, durability, and style to your outdoor spaces. Plus, they offer slip-resistant solutions for inside your home, too. Long-lasting, affordable, and built to protect your family. Don't wait. Call today for a free quote. 904-466-1839. And follow Don't Slip Jacks on Facebook and Instagram.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success. A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors to get the job done right, Z Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit Coastal Equipment for a demo today.
Greater power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in the clinic.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. Showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
What Major League Baseball team has never been to a World Series? The answer next.
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The Seattle Mariners, who were founded in 1977, have never been to the World Series.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Huh. This Rockin' Robin? Where are you pulling this from?
Johnny Lee.
Who's Johnny Lee?
I have no idea. Mike, I told you this music.
I
listen to a good beat and I just go, hey man, let's come back with this.
All right, you said that with confidence, man. Like, hey, that's Johnny Lee, man. Come on.
That's what it says.
You know what Johnny Lee's up to these days? Everybody knows Johnny Lee. Let's see here. I think this is in response to us saying that Hunter's unlikely to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. We also thought we'd never have gotten Josh Allen where we did. We were stunned when he was available. You never know. Well, granted. Right. Where nobody's saying
and it makes the decision easy. Right. Like there's nothing to discuss with Hunter. If he's there at 5, turn it in.
Yeah. And then watch the rest of the draft for indications on what they think his primary position is. You know, like, did you just solve your wide receiver 2 problem, or did you get your starting corner opposite Tyson Campbell, or both, as far as that goes?
He wants to play every snap.
You know, look, we'd be crazy to sit here and tell you it's likely, though, that Travis Hunter's going to be there.
Yeah, I expect him to be gone.
No one's saying it's impossible. I think at this point, the one guy that's impossible to see at 5 is Cam Ward, because it seems like that's a lot. I don't think it's that far behind that Hunter is unlikely to be there. It's in the high 90%. And I think Abdul Carter may only slightly be a percentage behind him. But after that, who knows? It's not 100% that Mason Graham's going to be there, or any other guy for that matter.
No.
At least the ones that you would likely be interested in at that point. Let's see. Somebody sent their top 5, and they had 4 of the 5 guys we said as make sure you accept these in addition to those 4. So, yes, we do agree that T-Law and BTJ and Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon are core members of this football team.
Yes.
All right. And look, we're well aware of the Jalen Ramsey, not to the Jags, but Jalen Ramsey in general, trade rumor stuff. For those who have asked us about it behind the scenes here, we'll get to that coming up. Would he be a fit back here in Jacksonville? But let's take a look at this Kiper and Field Yates combination project that they put out there, Tone. And granted, this is not what each of them think would happen because they're alternating picks in this, but there's probably a lot of agreement on it. And, at the top, Cam Ward, Hunter, Carter, and the Patriots go Will Campbell in that scenario. So not a surprise that they give the Jags Mason Graham. Jags have holes at every level of their defense after allowing 5.9 yards per play last year, which was second worst in the National Football League. Run any 2 plays, Tony, and get a first down.
Who was worse?
I'm not sure who that would be. Cincinnati? I don't know. I'm trying to think
I don't know.
who had I know Cincinnati's offense was great, and they didn't win the games you would think that would indicate. So I'm thinking maybe it was them, but I could be wrong about that. There's a yards per play basis. Who was the worst team in the NFL last year? When you figure that out, you'll let us know.
Stop asking me about cookies. I'll let you know. Carolina.
Okay. Carolina it was then. So we're better than you, Panthers.
I need some Girl Scout cookies.
Graham's best available. He impacts the game in a meaningful way as both a pass rusher and run defender with elite play strength and explosion off the snap. So, shall we get to Mason Graham wearing a Jacksonville Jaguar shirt at the Michigan Pro Day workout?
Sure.
Yesterday.
We can do that. I'm just looking at this list of yards per play allowed. Carolina was 32nd. Jacksonville was 31st. Chicago at 5.9 was 30th. Detroit.
Wow.
29th in the league last year.
And they won, 15 games?
Yeah.
Right? Power of offense. There's Todd Bowles a couple weeks ago at the owners' meetings. I'll never take a defensive need over a great offensive
player. And at the other
player.
end of it, Philadelphia was number 1 in the league at 4.8, and they won the Super Bowl.
That helps as well.
And the New York Jets were second at 5.0.
So I get if you've got the offense to overcome it, a la Detroit. Now they didn't win it all. So granted, you'd rather have Philadelphia's position or the Jets for that matter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you don't have to, the Jets were that good in that department. And they had Aaron Rodgers, and they had Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams and Breece Hall, and they were just meh as meh could be. All right.
Mason Graham working out, yeah.
Top of this draft went exactly like we talked about yesterday. You could practically throw a 9-bet parlay on this. Ashton Genty to the Raiders, Armand Membo to the Jets, Jalen Walker to the Panthers, and Shedeur Sanders to the Saints. Getting down in the second round now. Now, granted, if Luther Burden is there, I totally understand this selection. The wide receiver out of Missouri, Tone. Let's say he's not, right? I mean, you would take Besh over Kenneth Grant in that scenario? I wouldn't, even with Mason Graham.
I would think about it.
Josh Simmons, I would be at 36 to potentially get the best left tackle in the draft. And knowing you maybe have to nurse him through the first half of his year health-wise, I would be willing to do that. With the Jags, I don't know. I know they want win-now players, but you have to balance out the long and the short term there. And they are going to have better medical information on Simmons' eventual availability. Just looking at some of the guys, Azarie Thomas. I think you can find a corner in the third round. That'd be pretty good. It wouldn't shock me if the Jags went corner at 36. It depends on how they feel, though, about Jarian Jones. If they think Jarian Jones has the chance to compete and win that job against a mid-round pick, then maybe that's the way they go.
That's a weird kind of position for me because I feel like I'm way more confident in Jarian Jones than I've heard them express right to this point. But that's their prerogative to do with it whatever they want. I'm not worried about a corner at 36. Not me personally. I can't speak for the team.
But do their actions indicate that? Because clearly, like Jarian, you felt like was the future nickel at worst. And they obviously went out and made it a priority because Jordan Lewis is their first free agent signing.
But I think you can read their actions as indicating that they're very confident in Jones playing outside.
You could read it that way.
Right.
Or you could read it as, you know what, he was some other regime's mid-round pick, and We know
That
this
could be
guy
how they feel.
plays at a high. We just don't know, right?
And I
with
know
you.
it's my opinion on him is absolutely coloring my whole feel
Mm-hmm.
on this thing. I don't prioritize corner. I know we've talked to D-Rack and others that have talked about it being I don't.
I think I had him taking one in the 4th or 5th round in this year's draft. Something like
They're going to take a corner at some point because you always take a corner at some point in the NFL draft. You always take a corner and you always take a linebacker. It feels like somewhere,
took a linebacker for
right?
the
Like
first
somewhere
time
in your
this week.
draft, you're going to pick up somebody at those positions and wide receiver. Like those are 3 positions. You'll draft somebody at those positions virtually every year, and it's not a surprise. It's just a matter of when you pull the trigger on doing it.
If the Jags are ambivalent on Ezra Cleveland, and there's been a good point made recently. Grant Udinsky was in Minnesota when Minnesota basically gave up on Ezra Cleveland for not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Tyler Booker in this scenario available at pick 47. I'm interested to see where Besh actually went in their mock here. Besh went 52nd. One spot behind Mason Taylor out of LSU. So anyway, in this scenario, the Jags went with Luther Burden, which, again, if one of those guys, there are only about 4. If you don't count Hunter, who's a two-way guy, there are only about 4 guys that are really being considered for the first round at wide receiver.
And talking about what was going to be available later, the 2 defensive tackles that came off after the Jags pick in the 3rd round, Tyleek Williams and Alfred Collins.
Okay.
Right? So if they went Besh there in the 2nd round and they came back and got Alfred Collins, yes.
Well, in this scenario, yeah, right. They could do that. In this scenario, they might not even want to double dip because they got Mason Graham with the first pick.
But Alfred would be the natural nose.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And I'd be fine with them going Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant back-to-back if that's the way they wanted to do it and build into the Great Wall of Duval up front. Andrew Makuba, who's a safety that's been associated with the Jags a good bit at pick 70, a little bit small for my taste. Isn't he like 5'10", I want to say, something like that?
Yeah, he's a smaller guy.
Yeah, he's been a pretty good, fairly good ball hawk. He's listed here at 6'190", but I don't think he measured that at the combine.
Yeah, free safety. I mean, that's what he's going to be.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, 5'10's a little small in my opinion. And then finally with pick 88, I think they went corner in this one. Let me just scroll down and see who it was. It was the kid out of Louisville, Quincy Riley, who we saw in another mock. So, again, this is, just – and the way they laid it out, they signed Jordan Lewis in the slot. There are questions opposite Tyson Campbell, and that's the question. What do they think about Jarian Jones? We really don't know in terms of being a starting caliber player for this football team, to say the least. All right, so one guy who could fill that spot opposite Tyson Campbell and would be capable of doing it would be Jalen Ramsey, who reports are that the team and Ramsey are in agreement that he can go out and explore trade options, which may mean the Dolphins are looking at kind of a soft reboot a little bit this year because, there's been talk Tyreek Hill might not be back. If Jalen Ramsey were available, would he be a good fit for the Jacksonville Jaguars for a number of reasons, not just on field, his past history? What would you have to invest? What would he cost you over the next several years? Let's get into that as we get into hour number 2 of Jaguars Today. Coming up, 641-1010 if you want to weigh in on anything Jacksonville Jaguar related. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. A symphony of sweat, grit, and glory. Dive into the action and live the moments. For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
Need fresh and flavorful lunch? Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durbin Park, or Butler Point at Chicken Salad Chick.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. JJ here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of a quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Let AA Automotive and 1010XL guide you through the off-season. Who are Jacksonville's top prospects?
I know these players.
Listen for draft previews brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Florida and Hurricane Grill and Wings.
Paying rent can feel like throwing money away. And when you're spending so much, it can be hard to see yourself buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is helping you put your monthly rent towards home ownership with Rent Rewards. For the first time, save up to $5,000 off the cost of your first home just by paying rent. Only at Rocket Mortgage. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Go to the green every Saturday morning.
Happy learned how to putt.
And get golf tips and talk to help make your golf game more fun on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Direct from Broadway, MJ, the Tony Award-winning musical, is starting something all across America. Get tickets now to what the Washington Post calls a runaway hit. MJ the Musical, playing Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts, April 22nd through 27th. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Visit sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. Florida Gators men's baseball team are riding a 4-game win streak and will wrap up a 9-game homestand with their second and final regular season meeting tonight against the Stetson Hatters. With the Gators at a perfect 7-0 at home against Stetson and are now at 4-11 in conference play. Head coach Kevin O'Sullivan spoke on how they are taking it one pitch at a time.
Well, we put ourselves in this position, right? So
every game's important. We told them at the end, it's it's really one pitch at a time. We can't look ahead. They'll have off tomorrow and we'll practice on Monday and get ready for Stetson on Tuesday. But it's really, when you go through these struggles, you really got to simplify things. And it's honestly one pitch at a time.
Tonight, the Gators and Hatters down at the Condren Family Ballpark with first pitch at 6:30. It's 75 degrees at 10:54. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Tony's going to take us around the league coming up here in a minute, Tone. I know you're well aware of the Bob McGinn series, right, of analyzing prospects. Bob McGinn used to write for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and he would pull, I don't know, between 15 and 20 front office personnel types, some probably scouts, some GMs, different things, assistant GMs, whatever, all anonymously, and he'd get them to talk about prospects and say things that they might not otherwise say if their name was attached to it. This about Luther Burden, the Missouri wide receiver, and this is just one man's opinion.
Sure.
5-star, they had to kiss his ass for 3 years just to keep him there. The girlfriend is his manager. The mom is a problem. But he's a good player on Saturday, but he's very ordinary Monday through Friday. In other words, is the work ethic there? Is he grinding to get the most out of his ability? That's an area he's really going to have to improve. So there's a fuller write-up of this and another quote from it. You can go to Sportskeeda, where Tony Pauline toils, and read it there. We'll have Tony on tomorrow. But it says, continues in terms of ranking the receivers. I go Hunter, 1, obviously. Then McMillan. Then a huge drop-off. The rest are second-rounders at best. At best. They repeated that. So, in other words, we're all conditional here. Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden, our first-round receivers, because we see them mocked in the first round. But I think what they're saying is, in a typical year, these guys would not be anywhere near the first round. They're being driven up because of a scarcity of playmakers. How's there, in today's modern college game, how's there a scarcity of big-time receivers in any year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? With the emphasis on the passing game the way it is, it's kind of odd. But again, I don't know how the Jags feel about that. If they agree, disagree.
But I think it matches a lot of what we hear about this draft in general. Like, it's not unusual for the draft conversation this year to be, there's going to be a bunch of guys that aren't really first-round guys that are going to be drafted in the first round. And there's going to be a bunch of names that when the draft starts, we're like, they're taking who, when, why, right? Because we haven't been conditioned to necessarily talk about these guys coming off the board at 20. But if everyone's grouped together, if there's this big group of 50 guys that are all kind of just being pulled out of a hat from an NFL, all 32 teams perspective, then there will be a bunch of names that surprise you. I hear that and say, good. Don't take them in the first round. I want one of those guys available at 36, right? I'm good with that.
I am too.
Egbuka being there at 36 for the Jags, I would be thrilled if that's the way this whole situation plays out.
But if they're not, I'm not ready to push another receiver or two up the board, especially if those other guys are actually being pushed up beyond where their typical ranking would be. For me personally, speaking of Besh, I like Besh. I don't like him at 36.
I get it.
That's the way I feel about that. All right. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting because I had heard that there were some vague concerns. By the way, Burton's coaches say no issues, works hard, good teammate, all these things. So, I'm not trying to character assassinate this guy. I'm just saying these are some of the things others are saying about him.
Yeah.
And so you've got to figure this out for yourself if you're the Jags. And I don't know if it's tougher or not to not have any of these top 30 visits to spend a quality chunk of a few hours, in person with that player and get a sense for them. But that's the methodology that they're using. So
yeah, it is.
You got to hope for the best. When it comes to Jalen Ramsey now, and we'll get a couple of calls in on this in a minute. Me personally, I'm never going to think of Jalen Ramsey as anything but a quitter for this franchise. So it's tough for me to be objective on this. Like, I don't want Jalen Ramsey back in a Jaguar uniform, period. He quit on this team. And I don't want to see him then rewarded over time to find a soft landing spot to continue his NFL career. The contract, if you take that out of it, the contract is very manageable if you're trading for Jalen Ramsey, because the Dolphins going to eat a big portion of the cap because of the way it's structured in signing bonus. All that hits them if they trade him, not the team receiving Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is under contract through 4 more seasons. And his cap number for the next 3 years, this year is only $6.1 million. The next 2 years would be 12.8. Call it $13 million for the next 2 years. Very affordable for a guy. I mean, even Jalen Ramsey is not Jalen Ramsey at the peak of what he used to be. Now, James Gladstone was there in L.A. They acquired him. They also moved on from Jalen Ramsey. I have no idea what James Gladstone thinks of him in terms of a chemistry fit with everything. Should, put it this way, putting aside my own personal biases against him, should the Jaguars regime that is in place now have interest in acquiring Jalen Ramsey, if in fact he is available for reasonable trade compensation?
Is he willing to move to free safety now at this point in his career? I would be gung-ho if he was willing to make that guy. He is a fantastic player, and I get all the history here in Jacksonville, and we've all expressed our opinions about it. And look, I don't know how open he would be to coming back to Jacksonville, because he'd have to face all that. Of course. Like from a large portion of the fan base, not all of it, but a large portion of the fan base would feel how they feel.
What do you think? I think the majority would be like, screw it, if you can play.
I think most fans are like that about anything.
Yeah.
Basically, but they're not going to be. Obviously, everyone expressed how upset they were when he left the way that he left. It was not great.
And by the way, not everyone, because some blame the Jags, or whatever. You should have worked it out.
I think all the reasons that he had to leave Jacksonville are out of the building. Like, that's not going to be an impediment to him coming back here. Whatever those reasons were, Shad was never bad with Jalen, right? Like, it was other pieces in the building that kind of got in the way of that relationship getting to a second contract here in Jacksonville. As we've all expressed, I hated the way that he handled it there at the end. And it's hard to get totally past that, but he's a really good player. And if he was willing to come in here, especially, as I said, if he was willing to switch positions to free safety, which is wide open for this team right now, I'd be, woo.
Is Jalen Ramsey intangibly rich?
I think on the field, yes.
Okay, I think he's talented.
Yeah.
I don't see, but intangibly rich, to me, on the field,
I think that's
a small percentage of it.
I think on the field, there are very few guys that are more competitive than Jalen Ramsey.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but like that to me goes to his playing ability, and as much as anything, I don't know. I personally, I'm a grudge holder. I couldn't do it. That's me. If he came here, I would hope that. By the way, I think it's very unlikely that he would, but
I do too.
If he did end up that he was here, I would root for the best success, because I'm always going to put that ahead of my personal biases. But I don't know if I could get past my personal bias to get to that point.
Yeah, if both sides are open to the trade at this point, and that means they're probably going to be working with Jalen to make a trade happen, that my guess would be Jalen wants to go to a team that has a clear chance to compete right now.
Sure. Or someone who's going to give him more money.
Right, like that would be his stated preference. So it would wind up in a place like Baltimore or something like that, and that's okay.
It makes me want, like, what would you think, how many more years of high-level play can he have? Because if they're talking about, we don't want to sign a veteran edge rusher because we don't want to block a guy we may potentially draft from being the third edge rusher on this team, like, at this point, would they want to block an ascendant young cornerback, or I don't know how they would feel about that. But for me, I would just, there are other talented players out there. I would have to look for a fresh start. That I would not go back down that road. Let's see what Philip thinks about that possibility at 641-1010. Philip, you're on Jaguars Today. Good morning.
Yeah, concerning Mr. Jalen Ramsey, I don't care what his playing ability is. I don't care. He's old and he's beat up. But Jaguar Nation don't want nothing to do with that snake in the grass. Mr. Oh, my back hurts. I remember him standing on the sideline with that stupid smirk on his face. No, man. Jalen Ramsey is not the player he used to be. We don't want nothing to do with him. Take a poll, man. 9 out of 10 Jaguar fans probably will agree. But check it out. It's the middle of April, fixing to be summertime, fixing to be June. Next thing you know, it's 4th of July, and you know what happens after that? Training camp opens up. Woohoo!
Philip just frittered away my whole off season. Duval! But come on, man. Let me have some off season here, Philip. I'm not ready for the year to start. I don't think it would be 90%. I mean, I don't know what the numbers would be. And any poll we do is not necessarily indicative of, Jaguar Nation. I don't think anybody speaks for Jaguar Nation on their feelings on this. I think it would be, there are a lot of people that would feel like Philip. I'm more in Philip's camp. But I also recognize that there are a lot of people out there that'd be like, screw it, win, mercenary, whatever. And that's fine. You're entitled to be what he has done just in terms of like passer rating against. I don't know how without watching him week in, week out, I don't know if I can definitively, tell you how good he has been for the last few years. Started every game last season, missed 7 the year before that, just in terms of availability. He's never been a big interception guy, but you can argue that that's because they don't throw and attack the best corners all that often, if you want to go that way. I'd have to find, here we go, pass coverage, rating allowed. Yeah, last year, man, he's never been super, super high in that category. Like his best year was a couple of years ago. He held teams to a 51 quarterback rating.
What was his? They don't have the number for him in 17. They didn't have that stat up there on Pro Football Reference.
No, they didn't.
But
right, and that was the year that
was his first All-Pro year.
Right,
Yeah.
and Boye went crazy that year. It's weird that they start that in 2018, right? On this, but so in 2018 with the Jags, he allowed a rating of 76.4, and then the next year in 2019, which he split between here and Los Angeles, he allowed a passer rating of nearly 90. That doesn't seem that great, but are we talking about a small sample here? I don't know what the answer to that is. His completion percentage against 62% last year. I think he had a really good year the year before. Is he better than Jarian Jones right now? I'd say, yeah, he's definitely better than Jarian Jones at the moment. I just think, a lot of baggage, not necessarily with this front office, but from both sides' perspective. I think it at least is worth thinking about, considering the potential need here. And put it this way, would you rather, if you knew you were going to get him for the next 2 years, would you rather have Jalen Ramsey or Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek.
I think I might rather have Jalen.
Yeah, I'd rather have Jalen.
Just in terms of putting aside the personal biases, right? And just I feel like Tyreek is ready to peace out at a moment's notice. He's already done it seemingly like 3 times this offseason. Where are you? At least I feel like Jalen now, as long as Jalen's paid, he doesn't cause many problems. It's the pursuit of money with him. Maybe it's the same thing with Tyreek. But nevertheless, I think I agree with Denmark.
Trying to put that passer rating allowed in perspective.
Yeah.
Usually around that number 10 in the league is going to be around 75. Right, so Jalen Ramsey is never about 5 or 6 points off of top 10 corner in that stat basically every year.
But there could be 20 guys between.
There could be 20 guys that do it, but there's not going to be a whole lot of guys that basically live for a decade in that kind of range. And that's what Jalen Ramsey has been in his NFL career.
Again, from a purely football perspective, if you told me I could have Jalen and he's going to be happy with the contract that he's under, and I could give the Dolphins a 4th-round pick, take him right now.
Oh, yeah.
But and if I were any other
way
team,
more complicated than that.
It is. To me, it is. And maybe not for everybody. Others probably be like, hey, you know what? Who cares what happened 6 years ago with, Doug Marone's regime here in Jacksonville?
I think it's more complicated than that not just from a Jacksonville perspective. I think from any team that's going to be interested in Jalen. I don't know what exactly the price point's going to be, and I don't know what you have to be for Jalen to be interested.
Right. Is it going to be that, or is it going to be I need a contract adjustment or whatever it is? Right there. Yeah. And that's why I put it very narrowly. If I could get him happy under the deal he is, I think from a football perspective, 4th rounder, no-brainer. A no-brainer. Yeah. But it's not that simple, at least here in Jacksonville. It's not. All right, why don't we find out what's simple or not around the rest of the NFL?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Dallas linebacker Micah Parsons was in attendance for the beginning of the Cowboys' voluntary offseason workout program this week. Parsons is looking for a contract extension as he gets set to play on the 5th-year option this year after 4 Pro Bowl and 2 first-team All-Pro selections in his first 4 seasons. There in Dallas, Green Bay hosted free agent linebacker Isaiah Simmons for a free agent visit yesterday. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Max Crosby has been named an assistant GM by his alma mater, Eastern Michigan, and cornerback Patrick Peterson, who didn't play anywhere last year, has announced his retirement after a 13-year career in the place where he spent the first 10 seasons of his career, Arizona. After they made him a first-round pick in 2011, Peterson is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's All-Decade Team of the 2010s, an 8-time Pro Bowl selection, 3-time first-team All-Pro. Peterson returned 4 punts for touchdowns his rookie season, including a 99-yard game-winning walk-off punt return touchdown in overtime against St. Louis that year.
All right, here are a few responses. This touched the nerve here. Mike, that's a huge no to Jalen Ramsey. Let that cancer go invade some other locker room. That was one. And these are all in the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Next one, if you can contribute to the ultimate goal, I'm down for a reunion. Then preach, Tony. This may shock you, but even Jalen Ramsey matures. He's saying preach, move him to free safety. Let's see. I blame the front office. We should have paid him before he rolled out the Brinks truck. Next one, he lied to Shad. Shad's not going to forgive him for that embarrassing moment, saying he would play and then pulling himself out due to injury. James Gladstone says he wants to improve the culture by being nothing more than who they are. He's a punk. He'll hurt the culture. Then another one, speak for yourself, Philip. In other words, don't assume I don't want Jalen Ramsey here. So it's, and then this one, is everyone saying intangibly rich? Actually, they typed intangible rich. We're saying intangibly rich in an ironic way. We're saying it because that is the way they expressed it. Yeah. And whether it's proper grammar or not, it's become a phrase that symbolizes what the Jags are seeking in the complete package of a player. So that's why we're using it, because it automatically, those are the words that came out of the Jaguars staff's mouth in terms of how they want to build this roster. Here's another one, Jalen over Tyreek easily. Then another one, deep cornerback draft. We probably draft a couple. And another one, F. Ramsey. So, I mean, like, there are very strong.
He is a divisive name.
There's no question. But others are like, hey, man, if he can help us win, let's go, especially with a move to free safety. Some would not have him on the roster under any circumstances. I'm more in that camp, And, like, you could say a guy's mature, or you could also say maybe that's just who he is, Like, I mean, I don't know if that I've ever seen Jalen Ramsey not chase the last dollar. And granted, you could say that about a lot of guys, but not everyone lies to get it. And he clearly lied about his back injury and then went on a podcast with Deion Sanders and laughed about it. That's laughing in the face of every person who's associated with the Jacksonville Jaguars, as far as I'm concerned. And that's not one I'm ready to overlook unless Jalen wants to really come mea culping on his knees, which I don't anticipate Jalen going that route. Jalen doesn't care what I think, nor should he. But that's how I feel. So anyway, we'll come back. Let's get into our Tuesday top 5. Top 5 building block pieces other than Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, Josh Hines-Allen, and Trayvon Walker for the Jacksonville Jaguars for the next 3 years. That's straight ahead on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. I like to only recommend the best companies that I know I can personally trust. That is certainly the case with Pella Don't just take my word for it. Also, you can believe Consumer Reports rate Pella number one in all the major window categories. Right now, 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. You can schedule a free consultation anytime you like at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Rick Ballou is the truth teller.
Tell the truth. That's all. Just tell the truth.
Go into the night with Rick Ballou after the Frangie Show. Then it's Hacker After Dark.
Between him and me.
Ballou and Hacker. Evenings on 1010XL.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
At Performance Painting, we've spent decades protecting commercial properties with durable, long-lasting coatings. And we can bring the same expertise when painting the exterior of your home. With industry-leading materials and a proven process, we extend the life of your home, reducing maintenance costs and preserving its value. Now, for a limited time, save $500 when you hire us to paint your home's exterior. Just mention 1010XL. Go to performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance painting.
Jeff Prosser here for Lloyd's Heating and Air. Need a leader for commercial, retail, multifamily, or hospitality projects? Or top-tier residential service? No gimmicks, no mascots, just real expertise and hard work. As your trusted statewide mechanical partner and local family-owned team, Lloyd's is the name Northeast Florida counts on. Visit Lloyd'sHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air, keeping you comfortable in every season.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Mosquito season is upon us, but don't let them take over. The secret to a bite-free yard is starting today with Kingfish Pest Control. Their 3-step mosquito defense process stops them before they can spread. Eliminate breeding areas, build a protective barrier around your yard, and monthly treatments to keep them away all season long. The earlier you start, the fewer mosquitoes you'll have to fight. Don't let those suckers ruin your outdoor fun. Call Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. The best teal-colored coverage includes Mia's quick hits.
Get the latest news from inside the building and around the league. I'm Mia O'Brien, 1010XL's NFL Insider.
Driven by Arlington Toyota. Available on the video and social channels of 1010XL. Take your taste buds to One Night Taco Stand for Taco Tuesday. Get $2.99 tacos and $6.99 specialty drinks. The 1010XL restaurant of the day is One Night Taco Stand, Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
Living on Amelia Island, having fun in Bernardino Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Bernardino Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
Hi, I'm Jeff Breyer, president of Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring.
And I'm Zach Breyer. When my dad started in business in 1990, I wasn't even born yet.
That's true. And after 35 years and nearly 20,000 satisfied customers, we literally have a showroom in every neighborhood.
So whether you need more outdoor living space with a glass or screen enclosure, or you're looking to transform your home with new flooring, we've got you covered.
Visit our websites, or better yet, do yourself a favor and stop by one of our showrooms on Phillips Highway to experience the Lifetime difference and receive 20% off your purchase.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Interest rates have plummeted. It's time to call Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here, and if you're looking to get cash out of your home equity, refinance out of a high rate, or do a home improvement project, Loan Pronto can make it happen in a matter of just days. Take advantage of this opportunity and get tens or even hundreds of thousands out of your home equity. Pay off all your credit cards. Pay off your car loan. The average homeowner cuts their monthly bills by $1,000. Get more info at loanpronto.com. Inflation and higher costs have put a lot of people in a stressful financial situation. But if you own a home, there's a way out. Loan Pronto has multiple options that can help you get the financial freedom you deserve. Most homeowners get their cash in less than 2 weeks, and most don't even need an appraisal. Do the smart thing. Stop paying insane rates on those credit cards. Wipe them all out. Get a lower mortgage rate. Get some money for that home improvement project. Do it all by going to loanpronto.com or call 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
If you're heading to the Og or you're already part of the nation's oldest, don't forget to drop into Sunset Grill. For over 30 years, serving up great chowder, seafood, wings, and cold beer. Sunset Grill, somewhere on A1A, St. Augustine Beach.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Oh, look, there's Peter Schrager now on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it is because is this today's first day?
I don't know.
I don't either. I don't really keep track of that. Leaving the NFL Network going to ESPN, but regardless, he'll be part of their draft coverage coming up. Today's question of the day presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. We asked you, outside of Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. on offense and the two starting edge rushers on defense, Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, who are the five most important building block players for the next 3 years for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Granted, already stated, I would put draft picks 5 and 36 at 1 and 2 on this list. But we're gonna, and you're certainly valid for doing that if you're sending in your list of 5, and we'll go through some of those coming up. But
sure,
without knowing exactly who those players are, we're just going to leave those out. Who are the 5 players that are currently on the roster that we look at as building blocks? Why don't we begin the countdown? Dylan.
Number 5.
Tony Smith, who you got?
Who?
It's tough, right? It's not easy. This is an embarrassing list in that they could be replaced next week, some of these guys.
They could be, and this guy might be. We'll see. Patrick McCary is who I wound up with at 5. His versatility means that even if he's replaced as a starter, he can play anywhere, basically. They need him on the offensive line. From left tackle all the way over to right tackle. He is the guy on the offensive line. They gave the $20 million signing bonus to get him here, so they prioritized getting him in here. He certainly looks like he's going to be starting at right guard for the football team for the next at least 2 years. The third year is a bit more questionable, but that's the case for virtually everyone we're going to be mentioning today. But for me at 5, Patrick McCary.
Yeah, it's the fact that they signed him. I got McCary at 5 as well, and it was between him and Mason Smith, honestly. And Mason Smith is one of those guys that could get replaced by the number 5 pick in the draft next week, basically. But I still have hope for Mason Smith as a talent and a guy that at least the organization has a lot invested in. But I agree with you on McCary, Tone, that they gave him this contract. It'd be shocking for him not to be a starter for the short term for the next couple of years. His versatility makes you think he'll hang around for a while.
He'll find a spot.
Right. Or he'll help you in multiple spots, and he'll be a valuable tool. It's tough to put any of the incumbent offensive linemen, we'll see if we have any, ahead of him because they're not the ones who signed them. But I agree with you there at number 5. Who you got there, Mr. Denmark?
Brenton Strange.
Okay.
Just kind of, I didn't like this. I had to put him at 5. He had a good year. I think he's going to be here for the next 3 years. He'll be not a security blanket, but as a guy that Trevor can go to for, on third and short, hopefully in the red zone for the next 3 years.
All right, let's continue the countdown.
Number 4.
I've got Brenton Strange at number 4. Working our way up here. So I agree with Dylan. I'm not, again, you draft Tyler Warren, then this is a ridiculous ranking of Brenton Strange. I'm sorry, you're number 2 tight end at that point would not be considered to me one of the top 5 building blocks. But I think this, as it stands now on the roster, and unsure of how they'll address, if at all, the tight end position early in this NFL draft, Brenton Strange is that classic two-way guy. Tony, he's not a Tony Gonzalez in terms of pass-catching ability.
That's not what they want.
Right, but they want a competent pass catcher, but a guy who doesn't tip the hand to the defense on what you're going to do when he's on the field.
Brenton Strange moves people in blocking.
Absolutely.
Right, and he moves NFL defensive ends out of the way. That's what he's shown when he's been on the field, and that seems to be what they're prioritizing at the tight end position. So, yeah.
Who you got at 4, Dylan?
I will go Tyson Campbell. I was going to lean another corner, but I'll go Tyson Campbell at 4 just because of the injuries he's had the last couple of years. If he can get healthy, obviously he goes up, but injuries have really hurt him the last couple of years.
All right, Tony, who you got at 4?
Foye Oluokun. At least for the next couple of years, with the defense changing, this guy is one of the smartest players. He's a Pro Bowl level player. He's a Pro Bowl caliber player in the middle of that defense. He's a smart guy. He's athletic, as we've talked about with Jeff Lageman over and over. The last snap of the game, he seems to have the same energy that he has on the first snap of the game. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. And we've seen him do it for the last 3 years. The first 2 of those, he was Pro Bowl level. Last year, not so much, but he got moved around doing all these different things. I'm curious to see how they want to use him, but he's at number 4 on my list.
Continuing the countdown.
Number 3.
Dylan Denmark.
Jarian Jones. Sorry, I had to unlock my iPhone. It fell asleep on me. Jarian Jones. I think he's probably the best DB we have on the team. Had a really good rookie season, and I think from them moving him from the slot to outside shows that the coaching staff has a lot of trust in him. So I'll go Jarian Jones, number 3 for me.
Okay. Jarian Jones at 3. Tony, who do you have at 3?
Jarian Jones. And as we discussed earlier in the show, I would be fine if they would just say that their plan is to move him to the outside when they sign somebody else. It's like, I'm good with it. I think Jarian Jones is a good enough player that he's going to go to that spot and be fine. I think that he can excel wherever you want to put him in the secondary, essentially. I think Jarian's is that kind of guy, and I think his attitude is something that is desperately needed on the field for this team. And if they want to be intangibly rich, since that seems to be the hot button topic right now, I think Jarian has all of that and the playability. Number 3 on the list for me.
Now, if it were my list of who I think I could build around, it may have been a different story, but I'm not convinced that that's why they went out and signed Jordan Lewis, is because they felt Jarian could just go. I mean,
they haven't said it. They could have said it. They haven't said it.
If it goes that way, I would say, okay, then I'm going to reevaluate this. But I've got Foye at number 3 for a lot of the same reasons you do. I think he's just a dependable piece. If we're talking about for this year, he might be number 1 on this list, But I think he'll be here for the next 2 years at a minimum.
Yep.
He's only going to be 30 when the season starts. So, as his type of game, I think, can age gracefully. I could see him being the starting linebacker beyond what he's under contract for.
There's got to be a reason that it was him and Trevor talking last week. When they get everybody back in the building, it's Foye and Trevor that were the 2 guys who talked.
Who you got at 3, Dylan, or you already did your 3? All right, let's move on.
Number 2.
Let's see. Tony Smith.
Tyson Campbell. He is the corner that they have paid. He has shown at times the ability to be a top 10 corner in the league, and I think he still has that somewhere in him. It just didn't show up for the last year and a half, essentially, on the field. But they've paid him like he's going to be that kind of guy. So we're talking about Foye's locked in for the next 2 years. Well, so is Tyson Campbell. Jarian's locked in for the next 3 years, I suppose. They don't have guys that are long-term locked in here for a lot of these spots, but Tyson at least potentially is locked in for the next 4 years here in Jacksonville, and he's shown that he can be a top 15 type corner in the league. It's still in him to be that kind of guy. It certainly didn't show up last year.
I went with Anton Harrison at number 2 for me. And granted, we don't know how they feel about Anton. And yes, he regressed a little last year, but I think he showed in his rookie year that he is a capable player out there. Maybe his long-term future in Jacksonville is on the other side at left tackle on this offensive line. But he's only under contract for 2 more years, but you have the 5th-year option, which is a reasonable pickup that you could see, okay, if they feel good about him over the next couple of years, they're certainly going to pick up the 5th-year option, try to extend him beyond that. And, I mean, he is a first-round caliber guy. Many agreed with that when he came out. And granted, they didn't sign him. They did add a bunch of guys to the offensive line. I don't think you can afford to. They've got to find a way to take some of these diamonds in the rough, these high draft picks, and get the best out of them. That's on the coaching staff, and certainly it's on Anton as well. But I think he's going to be important to this offensive line. I'd be very surprised. Look, they could draft a tackle. I think ultimately Walker Little's got to be looking over his shoulder more than Anton Harrison, in my opinion. So I put Anton at number 2. Dylan, who you got?
Foye, I think, is the only leader on the defense on the back, outside of the D line and the back seven. Foye is your leader, and he's your most productive. He's always available. I think it's pretty easy. Foye Oluwakin for me.
Tony.
That I had Tyson at 2.
Oh, you had Tyson at 2. All right, my bad. Let's get to number 1.
Number 1.
All right, today's 10-10 take, Dylan, Denmark.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
Yeah, pretty anticlimactic here. Tyson Campbell for me at number 1 here. He has to be better. Is he worthy of the contract? Well, contracts are changing in the NFL, and his contract is not so devastating if he plays the way I feel like he's capable of playing. Staying healthy is going to be a big part of it, Tone, but they can't just afford to, you can't come in here and say this team is closer to competing and then rip out some of the huge heart of the young talent nucleus, however small it is, on this football team. I think Tyson Campbell, they've got to find a way to get the best play out of him. But you could have easily, I think, made this list and put Tyson among 5 players. Other than these 5, who do you look at? Because of the monetary commitment, because he has flashed that ability, because of the importance of the cornerback position, and what do you have behind it? If we're not 100% sure that Jarian Jones is looked at as the number 2, they certainly don't have a number 1 then. Tyson Campbell, to me, is the clear next guy outside of the draft picks that are going to be coming in that they need to play well if they're going to get to where they want to go in the next several years. Dylan, who do you have at 1?
I had Anton Harrison. The offensive line is the most important position group on the team, and I think we all believe that outside of Anton, anybody could be starting on this offensive line come fall. Depending on who they draft and all that, regardless of who they draft and if they pick up another free agent in the next couple of months, Anton Harrison's going to be your starter, just depending on if it's going to be your right tackle or left tackle. And if he is going to be your left tackle, obviously that's the most important position on the line, protecting Trevor's blind side.
Number 1 for me is Anton Harrison as well. And I don't know what happened year 2. It's pretty inexplicable that he didn't take some kind of step forward after year 1 where we all felt pretty good about his rookie season here in Jacksonville. He wasn't great, but it was like, all right, there's a bunch of guys struggling in different spots on the offensive line, but Anton was pretty solid through the whole thing, right? He struggled a little bit early on against Kansas City, but who wouldn't, with that being your first matchup, and then played pretty well. Last year, took a step back. I can't explain it, but he is under contract here for at least the next couple of years. 5th-year option, likely going to be in play after that. And I agree with you. He's going to be playing left or right tackle for the football team for the next 3 years, likely. Like, he's going to be in one of those spots here for a while now. So, yeah, he does feel like he's the block on the offensive line that is the most solid among the guys that they have in the locker room currently.
It's interesting. Like, you go through this list. Like, McCary, I feel like McCary is more secure as a starter than Anton is, honestly, simply because they signed him, right? But I still think Anton's more important, again, because of the position, the youth, the potential that he's got, all these different things. It's tough. Like, Tyson Campbell's one of the few guys that I think can play very well and is locked in and likely to be here for that period of time. Like, if I knew for a fact that Foye would be here for 3 years, he might be number 1 on this list. Yeah. But regardless, we'll go through some of your submissions. And again, we purposely kept the draft picks that we don't know who they are out of our list. You didn't have to. I would put the number 5 pick at number 1 on the list. I'd probably put the number 36 pick at number 2 on my list and move everybody else down.
They'd both be on the list for
2
sure.
spots, in accordance with that. All right, we'll come back and take a deeper look at the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Your building blocks beyond the obvious options for the Jags for the next 3 years. And we'll put a bow on Jaguars Today straight ahead on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Your radio highlight reel.
Caught
for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Today.
For the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been dry.
Homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contracting protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Right now, get 15% off roof replacement and repairs. Financing is available with monthly payments as low as $115. But this deal ends April 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve 0755.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, Underwoods has sold fine quality diamonds for a long time. Why is that important?
Frank, if you drew a line with the poorest diamonds with the lowest prices to the left and the highest quality to the right, our diamonds are at the far right end. Now, once we know the weight, the grading factors of cut, color, and clarity have to be considered. And the one that's talked about the least, but it's the most important to us, is the diamond's cut grade, because it has a huge implication on both the price and the beauty, and thus the value. I've bought diamonds for Underwoods for over 30 years, so I know what's out there. And the cut grade's just not important to most diamond sellers. That's really been the Underwood difference, because beautifully cut diamonds result in the most important thing they can do. They bring a joy of owning and wearing a diamond, not just today, but tomorrow and into the future. That's why it's important to us.
And it should be to you too, because nothing brings more joy than a diamond from Underwoods in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra since 1928.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass. He told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Discuss the beautiful game. The Coaches Show presented by Sporting Jacks. Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Baylor. Get an hour of soccer talk Tuesday evenings at 6 on 1010 a.m.
It's E.T. here, and did you know that slow speed accidents can still cause serious injuries? Ignoring minor pain today can mean big problems tomorrow. Don't wait. Call my guys at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center, the auto accident experts.
Welcome to ABS Advanced Business Solutions, your local authorized technology partner and home to Xerox copiers.
Advanced Business Solutions.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, tomorrow, Tony Pauline from Sportskeeda, maybe his last appearance. Maybe we'll sneak in 5 minutes with him next week, Dylan, on a draft day. That's going to be a busy one, but
Good buddy.
We'll see how that works out. Thursday, Hayes Carline from the Frangie Show, talking all things Jags, along with Pete Prisco, who had a recent mock out. Obviously, and Pete's going to do his final 2 mocks next week, I'm told, and McManison with us on Friday. In the meantime, today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day asks you for the 5 building blocks for a 3-year period for the Jaguars going forward, eliminating Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines Allen, and Trayvon Walker, who almost everyone would have all 4 on their list. So Will sends his in from Will DeBeast. Strange, Anton, Jarian, Campbell, and Foye. That's my list with the exception of Jarian. If I was more confident, like if I knew that the Jordan Lewis signing just meant that they're confident in Jarian going to the outside and maybe competing with a 4th-round guy, fine. I probably would have put him in there too, but not that spot right now. Mac in Delaware says number 5, Campbell, 4, Bigsby. I can't go there. Like, I think they're very likely to draft a running back. And we saw how easy it is. I mean, we know this anyway, but saw how easy it was for Bucky Irving to leapfrog to the top of the depth chart last year. Best guy's going to win, and Liam Cohen's had that personal experience. They had Rachaad White coming off a pretty productive year the year before, although Cohen didn't have him. Anyway, Bigsby, you're not the only one, Mac, who put him in there. Harrison at 3. Cohen and Gladstone at 2. Well, if you're going to add them, you're going to have to start the list there, all right? And then at number 1, Ventrell Miller. Ahead of Cohen and Gladstone, by the way. Ventrell's more important than Cohen and Gladstone. Ventrell might not even start ever for this team.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to think he can be, and I do think he is a potential building block. How you can sit here today and say he's one of the top 5, I guess top 9 even you're looking at. It's tough for me. And, it's your list. You've got more confidence than I do. Daniel went with Mason Smith, who I had just outside the 5. Tyson, both offensive tackles, and Brenton Strange. It could work out that way. Let's see. Jason goes Tyson Campbell, Anton Harrison, Ashton Genty at number 3 on his list. If they take Genty, he's ahead of these other guys, man. I mean, how would Genty be behind Anton Harrison at that point if the new regime took him with their first pick, a running back with the 5th pick? He's getting 320 touches. Mason Smith and Emeka Egbuka. So someone's projecting, hey, look, I'll be down with it. And I get what you're saying. 5 and 36, going to be a big part of it. Ed goes, let's see, Mason Smith, Anton Harrison, Brenton Strange, Ventrell, and Tyson. See if we get any other outliers on here, Tone. Kicker and punter, question mark. I mean, I thought about Cam Little. Like the punter, I don't care how good you are, man. The punter never going to be one of your guys. I'm sure there was a point in time, Tony, that what's his name with Baltimore, who's
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker, thank you, who's under a cloud of suspicion these days, but you could have argued might have been one of the top 5 most important building blocks in that team. Once you got beyond, like, say, whoever their core 4 were, you take Lamar Jackson out and whomever, that, Justin Tucker, when he was considered to be the best kicker in the league for consecutive years, I could see that 100%. And, that was the guy who was at the top of his craft. Could you project Cam Little to get there? Yeah, I think you could. If he continues to build on that rookie season, it's just a damn shame anytime we do these that you got to mention the specialists, but they're the ones who get it all done. Let's see, Scott Ventrell. A lot of people have faith. Jarian Jones, Tank Bigsby, Mason Smith, Walker Little, hopefully. P.S. Whoever we pick at 5. Again, that guy goes catapulting above these. Jarian, Cam Little, Parker Washington for the first time, Brenton Strange, Ventrell Miller. That's a complete X factor for this football team, don't you think? I mean, for all our talk about wide receiver needs, Parker Washington doesn't fit the mold of a Chris Godwin type slot, and we did hear that, from William Cohen's own mouth tone that they want to use Brian Thomas Jr. all over the place, including in the slot. What do you think Parker Washington's value is to this team right now? I think it's a wide potential range.
Yeah, I think it's all over the place. I do think you have to consider how effective he might be as a punt and kick returner for the football team as well, especially with, they're changing the rules to basically say you're going to return kicks, right? Like, that's what the league is saying. You're going to return kicks. So, I do think it opens up opportunities for guys who maybe saw him limited, in a way here for a while in the NFL. But the kick return is now a play in the game again. So it opens up at least 3-4 more touches a game for somebody like Parker Washington, potentially. So I don't know how much he'll be able to completely take advantage of that, but he was more effective not just having to play slot last year. He played outside and was okay. I don't know that he's ever going to be a guy that you rely on, at any point or want to have to rely on, but him being your 4th wide receiver, you could do a lot worse.
Right.
Right. If you get in that position than Parker Washington being that far down the depth chart.
Yeah, and I think, based on the expense and all those things, I could see him being here longer than De'Ami Brown very easily, just simply because Brown's on a 1-year deal. I didn't even consider De'Ami Brown, quite frankly. And maybe that'll look foolish in hindsight. One mention of Devin Lloyd. That was interesting. Couple for Hainsey at center because of the importance of the center position and easing Trevor Lawrence's transition into this offense a bit here. I'd be okay with that. Devin Lloyd, man, I don't know what, pretty clear right now that barring something surprising, they're going to pick up that 5th-year option. I guess it's still possible, Tone. And maybe they look at him as maybe that designated third pass rusher. I just think this draft is so littered with that third down pass rush type guy. Saw one indication, small school guy that Tony Pauline mentioned that they were looking at out of Cal. Not a small school guy, but a later round prospect, I should have said. We'll get into it with him tomorrow. I've heard them connected on a few of those type players, so I think, those are the ones that interest me more. Like, we know they should have interest in Mason Graham, whether they select him or not. It's tougher to gauge who they're interested in, and that's the way they want it because they're not doing top 30 visits. But it's always the outlier guys that you're trying to find more info on, the guys who aren't the obvious selections that interest me. Like, sure, you want to get to know your number 5 overall pick, long-term investment, but maybe you've only watched some film of a smaller school guy or a guy that was hurt or whatever the case. And that, that's the path that they've chosen to go down, though. No top 30 visits.
I don't think the spot track market value thing is gospel for any of this kind of stuff, but I was curious if they had one for Devin Lloyd, considering he will be going into right now what would be the final year of his contract. And they do have a contract value for Devin Lloyd, and it's basically 3 years, $27 million. Right? Are you willing to pay that price right now for Devin Lloyd?
3 years, 27?
Yeah.
I might.
Right.
That's not crazy money. No. I don't think he would sign that deal.
Probably not.
Quite frankly. And maybe it'll end up being a good deal because a lot of those guys you think, oh, man, that guy can play, and he ends up signing for 1 year, $6 million somewhere the next year.
Absolutely,
but,
yeah.
Even if you're talking about 3 years, 27, though, you might bet on yourself on a 1 year, $6 million deal that you're going to get a much better extension beyond that. So instead, I make $6 million this year instead of maybe I would have made 10 on the front end. That's for him to decide. Prisco's got his best out at every position. And again, as we mentioned yesterday, Josh Simmons is number one offensive tackle in what he calls a weak class.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Armand Membo, Will Campbell, all those guys. Pete will join us on Thursday to break down some of this. He calls Hunter a future star at wide receiver in what he considers a good class of wide receivers. I think it's considered a good depth class and just not a good high-end class is kind of where we're at on that. All right, the 9 days out, and a lot of these questions will get answered next week. All right, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. Let's welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
All right, Taylor Dahl, hello. How are you?
Hello, I'm great.
We will make this easy on you, okay? Today we asked for 5. We just need one player from you. Who is the... No, you can't count any future draft picks, including next week's, okay? Take Trevor, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines Allen, and Trayvon out. Who's the most important building block for the next 3 years for this team that's right now on the roster?
No... Trevor, BTJ, who are
Josh Hines Allen,
Trayvon. Okay. That's a good one.
It's tough, right? I mean,
because I don't know. And I've said this on Heels a few times that I was like, there's very limited players that I even see for the next 5, 6, 7 years that they absolutely need. And you just named 4 of them that I would have named. So I guess on this roster right now, I feel like I may have to go Ajarian just because I feel like that's the next player on my list that I see that I actually like and making an impact. And
are you convinced he starts for this team this year?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested in what they do, obviously, with the Jordan Lewis stuff, and people are saying he's going to have to slide outside. I don't know how you would take somebody who was probably one of your better defensive players last year and not play him this year.
Well, I mean, that's... In your opinion,
Yeah.
Clearly Jordan Lewis is the starting nickel.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
there's no question. So whatever they saw of Jarian and nickel, that was their top priority because he was the first guy they signed. I'm with you. Like, I think he's talented, but that move makes me wonder. And
how
without
much
them,
they see,
right, without them definitively coming out and saying, you know what, at worst, he's in competition to start it outside. It's more like, hey, we're going to see where he fits in.
It's hard for me because if you're going through everything, I don't know. I can't say it's going to be Tank or ETN. I can't for sure say that. Maybe Brenton Strange. Like, maybe that's the other one.
Tyson?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love Tyson Campbell as much as other people love Tyson Campbell, especially like some of the injuries issues concern me. It's been a couple years of that. You have to be able to stay on the field, and I don't know if another year of injury comes, do they have to try and figure something else out?
Maybe so.
It's hard, and that's what, I feel like a Ventrell, a Brenton, and a Jarian are the first ones that come to my head, but...
And it's funny, though, like, we don't know if any of them start.
I know.
I mean,
That's
they
what's
could
kind of
replace
crazy.
Brenton Strange with Tyler Warren in the draft next week.
Yes,
like, and
a week away.
It's so hard to say he's a top 5 building block outside of the core 4.
Right.
That may have his job lost next week.
Well, and I think it speaks to how wide open the options are in the draft.
Yes.
Like there are no sacred cows on this roster.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's nobody that you have to protect from being upset by what they do at any point in the draft.
And it's interesting because of the way they handled free agency made you feel even more so like that. Like you already had holes and you were already like, there's many ways they could go with pick number 5. But then free agency came and you felt like that opened it up even more, which usually it limits it. But to me, it didn't because I feel like getting rid of Evan Ingram made you be like, okay, well, maybe they will get a tight end. And then just because of the running back draft and in general, it's so deep that do they snag one of those? And what happens with ETN next? And
I'd be shocked if they don't draft a running back.
Yeah, me too. At some point, when.
Right.
Yeah. And then so there's so many things. And then with Jordan Lewis, all of a sudden, you're like, do they trust Jarian to be on the outside? Everyone's like, he did it in college. Okay, but he was a really good nickel corner last year. And that's what
draft him. They didn't evaluate him.
Yep.
So we don't know. And you may be right. Like if they had come out and said, yeah, we're going to move him to the outside because we think that he can excel there, he might have been number 1 on my list too.
Yeah.
As it was, I couldn't even put him on the list.
Who was your one?
Tyson with Anton number 2. Both of those guys had Anton at number 1. And that's projection.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I know.
We don't. Oh,
this is scary.
It's scary, but it's exciting
No, it
too.
is. It's
so.
fun. I
All
love
right,
this
what's
time of
coming
year.
up today for the Heels?
Yeah, we're going to, obviously, draft talk. We're going to get into more of that, some of the Shedeur Sanders chatter, how that could affect the top. This is the conversation for the next week of what those top 4 look like and who takes who and who is left on the board for the Jaguars. And we've started going through the list, and so we've talked to a Titans and a Browns person. We have a Giants guy coming on this week to just kind of get the mindset of what they are doing to see what the potential at 5 could be. But it's I don't know. I feel like it might be a little more wild than people think.
It'll be fascinating for the Giants because I heard Schefter this morning on ESPN say that, all the sense of the world that the Giants take Sanders, and how much they pay. His thing was, why are you scheduling a private workout? As what, a smoke screen for someone to jump you
Yeah,
to get
just trying
Sanders,
to get somebody to make some
get
calls.
Travis Hunter to fall? Maybe.
Yeah.
But, I guess that's the only way you can be sure to get Shedeur Sanders is to get to 2. But, he's like, look, they've been to all his games. What more do you need to learn in a private workout at this
And
point?
I don't know if the Giants are that smart. We saw some of the clips last year.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
And I know, it'll be interesting because a lot of it was the Saints, but then now there's been recent things saying the Saints like Jackson Dart more than Shedeur Sanders. So
It's
maybe
all lies.
All
of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Everybody's lying.
Even the truth is a lie at this point. All right. Have a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Taylor Dahl.
Oh, by the way, sorry. We will also have the presser on at 1:15.
Oh, okay,
James Gladstone and Liam Cohen will both be
Yes,
speaking. I should have probably said that.
Pre-draft luncheon press conference kind of situation for the Jags today. And we will have a lot of that for you tomorrow on Jaguars Today, along with Tony Pauline. We'll do our Wednesday mock draft. If you want to knock one out, head over to ProFootballNetwork.com. That'll do it for us today. For Tony Smith and for Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Hope you enjoyed the program. Back at it again tomorrow with 2 more hours of Jag Talk from 10 to noon on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
from the Renewal